What's going on, home gym junkies? It's your boy Habanero Gym Review, back at you another video to satiate your home gym gear addiction. And today I'm gonna be giving you guys my review of the GetRX RX3 Smith Machine squat rack with tornado arms. So stay tuned because I'm gonna tell you guys all the things I hate about it, what I did to improve it, and all the things that I love about this thing. Let's get to So the first thing I want to talk about is the depth of this rack. So the depth of this rack is 42 inches. And the depth of this rack doesn't really make any sense to me. I feel like they could have made it a lot smaller because there's a lot of empty spaces in here. So like from the stack to the Smith machine, you got about 8 inches. From this cable right here to the back upright, you have about 11 inches. And from the back upright to this guide rod, you have about 14.5 inches. So there's really nothing you can do in here. You're not gonna be able to squat in here. You could probably barely bench in here. It's just not recommended. So all of the space in here is kind of useless. So let me see what I can do to improve it. I'm gonna see if we can just slide everything closer and see how much space we can free up back here. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slide this weight stack up a little bit closer to the Smith machine. That was dangerous. All right, so now we got the stack all the way close to the Smith machine. But there's one thing. When you put the weight on the Smith machine now, it's gonna get caught up on this little band thing. So look, see that? So what we're gonna have to do now is we're gonna have to take this whole band thing off. I don't really like it anyways. I'll talk about it more a little bit later. So let's just take this out. All right, let's take that out. Now that we took the band holder out, we got this stack really close to here and it doesn't interfere with anything. Now, once you slide the weight stack forward a little bit, you're gonna notice that you're gonna have a lot more access in your cables. So what we're gonna end up having to do is we're gonna have to shorten this cable. But instead of cutting that end, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this end of the cable and then just reattach it back into this hole. Now, before I cut the actual cable to this machine, I got some spare cables off of Amazon that I'll be using as a little test run to see how everything flows out. So we're gonna need extra cables and you're gonna need a hydraulic crimping tool. I got this one from Harbor Freight, but I will be posting a link in the description to all the stuff that you would need to do this modification. Another thing is, this thing here is what you use to tighten and loosen this cable. So it's kind of an adjuster. It's the worst adjuster ever. I don't really like it, but it works. And if you have it bolted all the way down like this, that means you have it in the most stretched position. Now this cable over time when you use it, it's gonna stretch out a little bit. So you don't wanna screw this all the way down because then when this stretch out, you won't be able to tension this cable out to make up for that stretch. So what you wanna do is you don't wanna screw this all the way down. We're just gonna loosen it up just a little bit. All right, now back to where we was at. So this is the length of the original cable. We have that much excess to cut off. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that off. So I'm gonna gauge it to right there. I'm gonna cut that off right here. Measure once, cut twice. Ping pow. Now in order to attach this eyelet cable end, you have to first remove the plastic off your cable. And you use that with a little razor, you just cut around it. Be careful not to cut the cable and then just peel that off. And you're gonna cut it the same length as the barrel of this thing. And so once you cut that off, you just put this in. Be careful not to fray anything. Put it in real tight. And then we're gonna use our little crimper. Then we're gonna put this inside. Make sure it's all the way down. And then we're just going to start crimping. Okay, I got that eyelid on there. That looks good. Let me show you guys. So this is mine's, and this is the stock one. So there's a bit of a difference. It's not too bad. Let's just hope this thing holds. All right, now that I got the little eyelet end on here, we're just gonna go ahead and reattach this to the trolley. Let's see if we messed up or not. All right, here's my first mistake. I forgot to put a little ball in here to keep this metal from getting onto there. So now the cable's a little too short and this eyelet is a little bit recessed. But if we go ahead and take a look at the stack, there you go, that's how it looks. So on my second run, I am going to make this cable a little bit longer and put a ball in here so that you don't get metal on metal contact. Now I want you guys to see this. With this weight stack moved all the way up close from the front upright to the very back of this cable, you have 26 inches. So instead of going with the 42-inch cross member, GetRx could have totally used their 26-inch cross member and this setup would work. All right, so now we have a total of 17 inches to this cable and 20 inches to this guide rod. Now let's see if we can squat in here now. So as you can see, with the weight shifted up, now you have much more clearance. You can squat in here now, and if you can squat, you can bench in here. But for me, this still is a little bit too claustrophobic, so I don't really feel like this is a solution. I think I'm gonna be replacing these cross member with a 26-inch cross member, just so that everything is much more squeezed together. But if you did wanna squat back here in this limited space, what I would suggest you do is probably get some monolith. These are bells of steel monolith with the roller J cups. With the monolith, you don't have to take a step back out of the J hooks. You can just push up and then the J hooks on the monolith will just automatically swing out and then you can just do your squat. So you don't have to really worry about gauging the depth of this tightness. Let me just go ahead and show you guys how that works. Another thing, at 20 inches of depth, you're gonna have trouble finding safety spotters that will fit in here. I know Oak Club makes the Alpha S, which is a really short safety spotter. That might be beneficial for something in here. But still, if you can find a safety spotter that is about 20 inches or a little bit less, that's gonna be the most safe. Now let me go ahead and show you guys how it looks to squat with a monolith back here. Now that it's much wider, it's easy for me to go in and out. I mean, with plates on here, you're not gonna be able to go in. So you gotta go under and through. Know what I'm saying? But honestly, guys, I really value my space. I want an open space for me to work out. So squat inside in that little 20-inch depth, that's not really a solution for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and just set up my J-cups on the back of the rack so that I could just work out on the back of the rack as well as the front. I mean, you can set up J-hooks and bench and stuff on the front of the rack where your functional trainer is. But for me, I like to be able to transition through my workout really quickly. So having multiple stations is gonna benefit you a lot more so that you don't have to worry about taking down equipment, putting up equipment. So it's gonna cut down your setup time by a lot. And also, if you're working out with buddies, having multiple stations is gonna allow you guys to be able to work out together and not get in each other's way. And so for the best value, I would not recommend putting this rack against the wall, because if you put this rack against the wall, you lose the ability to be able to squat back here. And that would just be a terrible waste. This is one of my favorite bar, the Maverick Bar by Pheno X. This is the best barbell for shoulder presses. I'm gonna do a review on it pretty soon, so stay tuned. And if you plan on putting weight horns on this back upright, there's a lot better solution. I wouldn't give up a perfectly good spot to squat and bench for a spot just to put weights. My solution for weight storage is to use a weight tree. Having the weights right here does take up a lot of the space and you're not gonna be able to really do anything inside the rack anymore. But if you didn't have any space and you had to plan on using the inside, then you could probably just put them off to the back, to the side, just out of the way. Now, in order to have this double rack setup where you can squat in the back of the rack, you're gonna need about 138 inches from the back wall to a little bit in front of your front uprights in order for you to have enough space to work out in the front. Now I just want to show you guys. You see after we move the waist stack over, look at how much space we have inside here now. So basically my point is GetRX could totally use a 26-inch cross member instead of the 42-inch cross member to save you a lot of space. I mean, unless you want to squat inside here, there's really no need to make it that long. So you do have another option. Instead of buying the GetRX RX3 with the Smith machine, where it comes with a 42-inch depth cross member, you can get the GetRX RX3 without the Smith machine. And that one comes with a 26-inch cross member, and that one's only $3,300. They also sell the Smith machine by itself for $600. So you can add that on, and then you'll have the RX3 that's much smaller with the Smith machine and waist stack. But if you choose to get the RX3 with the Smith machine with the 42-inch depth, let me show you guys some other ways that you can utilize the inside of this space so that it's not wasted and make it valuable. The first thing we can do is hook up a Rep Fitness belt squat rack attachment to it. I did a review on this already, so you guys want to check out my review on the belt squat rack attachment and all the little hacks I did with it, you can check it out on my channel. So the only drawback to this system is that you have to start at the bottom of the squat. But if you check out my Rep Fitness belt squat rack attachment video, I show you guys how you can hook up a winch to the top of your rack so that you can pull this up so that you can start at the top of the movement. I want to show you guys another hack that Rex over at Home Gym Discord recommended to me is these frog clips. So these frog clips, if you have a belt squat, these things allow you to clip in really quickly and clip out really quickly. It's actually pretty nice. And I will be posting a link for this in the description. There is a drawback to having this belt squat here, and that is because this thing kind of protrudes a little bit and it prevents your bench from being able to slide in a lot. So if you want to use this back as a squat rack as well, you're gonna have to dismantle your belt squat and slide it forward just a little bit so that your bench can slide in. So leaving the belt squat there does have some drawback, and if you thought you could just slide the belt squat up a little bit more and just be able to leave the belt squat there and not have to worry about moving it around, the thing is, if you move this thing up anymore where there's places to mount it up here, your belt squat is gonna be in the way of your Smith machine. What I mean is this cross member right here, it's going to be in the way where you put your footing for your Smith machine. So I've played around with it. That setup won't work. It will only work on the back there. And flipping the belt squat around is not an option because the cable has to run this way. If you flip this thing around and have the cable running through the other side, this cable is gonna hit you in the face when you're squatting. There are other options that you can use these two back uprights for. One would be like setting up a dumbbell station back here. You can use it as a wrist roller station. You can set one of those lateral raise attachment back here, which I don't have. Bells of Steel has a lateral rack attachment that looks pretty cool that they just came out with. That would be perfect for right here. You could also hook up a dip attachment. Being able to use these back uprights as an individual workout station for a specific attachment is really gonna cut down your setup time, and it's gonna make your workout a lot more enjoyable, and the flow is just gonna be so much better. Let me show you what I'm really gonna be using this back upright for. Ta-da! So my ultimate goal is really to put a bulletproof isolator on this rack. I could use this as a squat rack, but I already have two other racks that I use for squats and bench, so I really don't need another squat station. But having a bulletproof station, now this might be S tier. Let me show you guys why the RX3 works perfectly with the Bulletproof Fitness Isolator. I'm just gonna bring my tornado arms down. Now I'm just gonna connect my retractable ratchet strap. I'm gonna post a link of this and everything else in the description if you guys wanna have this set up. Now the cam on this is not really that great right now, even with this whole little setup. This is just a little prototype. We're gonna improve on this whole system pretty soon. Now I know Bulletproof Fitness is coming out with their own isolator, but who knows when that will get released. And you know, I really don't have the patience, so I'm just gonna go ahead and develop my own until they make theirs, and I'll definitely buy theirs and also review it for you guys. I will be reviewing the Bulletproof Fitness isolator, and I will be dropping that pretty soon, so please stay tuned if you guys wanna see more of this super hot fire content. Pow. Also, with all this open space right here, it makes it possible for you to be able to upgrade your isolator to the adjustable weight horn that they're coming out with, where they have something that's very similar to the Prime Fitness system, where they have triple weight horns and you can load the weight at different weight horns at different heights so that you can adjust the strength curve of the isolator. With this huge gap right here, you don't have to worry about your isolator system getting caught up and hitting the Smith machine. So there is some benefits to having this deeper depth. You just gotta be a little bit ingenious and think outside the box. Another thing that I was thinking about was moving the Smith machine from back here and bringing it out here and bringing the weight stack even further up there. But because I wanna leave this space open, I don't wanna have anything coming in contact with the Smith machine. Also, with all the new iteration of Smith machines coming out where they have adjustable angles and be able to converge, and having this extra space right here is gonna allow you to be able to future-proof your rack and be able to upgrade your Smith machine in the future. And now I'm gonna tell you guys all the things that I love and hate about the Smith machine. The starting weight is about 48 pounds. It feels very smooth. I don't feel like it's sticking at all. Just make sure you add lubrication and clean your rods, and the Smith machine is gonna feel really smooth. The knurling on the Smith machine bar, it's actually very good. I was very surprised. I thought that they would just use a really cheap knurling barbell, but they actually went and did pretty well for the barbell choice on the Smith machine. What I don't like about the Smith machine is that this bar, you're not able to switch this bar out with another bar. And so that's a pretty big drawback with all the new innovation coming out. And eventually I'm gonna wanna upgrade my Smith machines so that I'm able to put different barbells on here. Another thing is, I really don't like the twisting of the Smith machine. And I know I'm nitpicking and every single Smith machine is like this, but it would really be nice to have like a monolith style Smith machine where you just lift this up and it automatically retracts and you don't have to twist and turn. Hopefully somebody can develop something like that, or maybe, who knows, maybe one of these gym manufacturers would do the right thing and hire Habanero to be their chief executive engineer. The bar path on the Smith machine is completely vertical, and that's actually what I prefer. But having a Smith machine where you can adjust the angle definitely will add versatility, so that's something to look forward to in the future. I know the Smith machine gets a lot of hate in the gym community, but I do really feel like the Smith machine is highly underrated. I really love using the Smith machine, and having the Smith machine has added a lot of value to my gym. And it's really my favorite way to train my calves. I really like it for one arm shrugs as well, because it really allows me to stretch out my traps and really get me that full range of motion on my shrugs. With all the good quality, it does have some major design flaws that I just do not understand. First things first, if you're 5'9" or taller, you're gonna have trouble with that top range of the motion on your shoulder press. So I'm 5'9" on a good day, and as you can see, when I go all the way up top, I hit. And for all you short kings, this is your lucky day. But for me, luckily, if I just take my shoes off and have a bit of a wider stance, I don't top out anymore. And so when I shoulder press in here, I'm usually doing it barefoot. I do a lot of things barefoot and also bareback. The reason why I said that there's some flawed design is this thing doesn't go all the way up. They could have easily made this plate up here come out further and have this thing go all the way up to that and into this hole and then bolt up top. So it just didn't make any sense to me why they wouldn't make this go all the way up top. But that's not the only bad flaw. If you look down here at the bottom of the Smith machine, the design is actually the same as up top, where there's a huge gap right here where they could have brought the rail all the way down and had that much more range of motion. Now take a look at this spring and safety system. This is with it at the lowest position. And this bar is actually 2 feet off the ground, 24 whole inches. And so it's literally higher than my knees. This is about as much range of motion I can get for a Romanian deadlift. The official height for a deadlift is about 8.75 to 9 inches off the ground. This is 24 inches. So in order to get this bar at 9 inches for an official deadlift height, you're gonna have to do a couple of things. One, you're gonna need to build yourself a platform that is about 15 inches up higher so that you can make yourself higher so that the bar starting point is lower. Let me show you guys. So here's a little makeshift platform that I put together. It's not exactly 15 inches, but this is just a little thing that I put together so that I'm able to do Romanian deadlifts in here, because I don't actually do deadlifts in the Smith machine. What kind of nerd do deadlifts in a Smith machine? That's just weird. But doing Romanian deadlifts in here, oh man, this is great. And you're able to start at the top of the position. Another solution would be to remove this absorbing spring, but I actually really enjoy having this spring on here so that whenever I drop it, it's really quiet and bouncy, and I just really like the feel of that. So I'm not gonna take the spring off, but it is an option. Also, GetRx is going to be releasing a new safety spotter system for this Smith machine where you can take this safety spotter out. And so removing this safety spotter and also the spring, that will reduce everything by about 8 inches. 4 for the spotter and 4 for the spring. Shout out to GetRx for listening to the consumer and updating their system to fit our needs. If these shortcomings of the Smith machine is a deal breaker for you, you can opt to get the RX3 without the Smith machine and then add your own Smith machine in the future. But for right now though, the Smith machine rack attachment options are a little bit limited. Now, before I give you guys the grand finale of all the things that I love and hate about the Tornado arms, I want to talk about this weight stack. Now, this weight stack is 200 pounds per side, but because the functional trainer is a 2-to-1 ratio, you only feel half of whatever's loaded. So even though you have 200 pounds, you only feel a max of 100 pounds. Now, 100 pounds per side, when you connect them, it's going to give you a total of 200 pounds, and that might still be not enough for a lot of people who are a lot stronger. There is a solution though. What you can do is you can use gym pin weight horns and you can load an extra 200 pounds onto the weight stack, because this trolley system has a max capacity of 400 pounds. But with the 2-to-1 ratio, you still only get 200 pounds per side, and if you connect them, you get 400 pounds. Now, the unique thing about this setup is that you can access both the inside of this weight stack and also the outside of the weight stack. Whereas on the Aries 1.0 and 2.0, where the weight stack is in the back, you won't be able to access the back of the weight stack. Now, how this is significant is when you load up the extra 200 pounds, you could put 100 pounds on this side and then 100 pounds on the back side. What that does is it gives it a more balanced weight distribution, so there's less torque on this pulley system, giving you less friction, so it makes it a lot smoother to be able to displace the weight evenly on both sides. Now, after adding an extra 200 pounds per stack, you have a maximum of 400 pounds when you connect both stacks together. Now, that's definitely gonna be enough for 99% of us. But for me, I just wanna take it a little bit further for all those meatheads out there that's watching my review and need, who knows, 800 pounds. I'm gonna show you guys how you can achieve a full 800 pounds capacity on these weight stack. And how I'm gonna do that is by incorporating the 1-to-1 ratio pulley hack. If you see any of my other videos, you might be familiar with it, but let me show you guys how to set it up for this system. So the first process of doubling the pulley ratio is we have to add another pulley to this end right here. Now, there's 2 pulleys you can go for. You can go for a smaller pulley or a bigger pulley like this one. Now, I do not recommend using a smaller pulley because it's so small. The cable ends up bending too much and it could cause damage to your cable over time. I recommend going with a bigger pulley like this. Now, this is just a cheap pulley that I got free with the winches that I bought. But if you want a really smooth system, go ahead and get a more expensive pulley with bearings in it, and it'll make your system a lot smoother. So our first challenge is, because this pulley is so big, this cable doesn't have enough slack for you to put this in without it lifting the weight stack up. And how that interferes with the system is that you won't be able to change the weight once you install this. So our first challenge is to make this cable protrude out more, giving us more slack so that we can attach this pulley to the end here. Let me guys show you my solution. So the first step is we're gonna remove this bolt and nut that connects the cable to the trolley. As you can see here, there's 2 holes for you to hook up your cables to. We're gonna leave this hole alone, and for this hole up top, we're gonna add a carabiner here. Then we're gonna put another magnet up here, and then we'll just put this up here when we're not using the 1-to-1 ratio. So when we decide we wanna do the 1-to-1 ratio, we just take our cable, our existing cable, and we're gonna connect it to this carabiner like this. Now, after doing that, we have more slack now. You see that? Now with our new slack, we can easily attach a pulley to this cable. And then we're gonna take the carabiner that's attached to the end of the pulley, and we're just gonna anchor it. I like to anchor it right there just because it's convenient. If you find that the cable isn't long enough, just go ahead and use another carabiner. Connect this to that. All right. You can fine tune this so that it's not so long, but this is a quick, easy way to do it. Now we have this pulley anchored, and when we pull this carabiner right here, you're making the cable travel twice the distance, thus giving you the double pulley ratio hack. So essentially now you're gonna feel a 1-to-1 ratio on the waist stacks. Whatever you load on the waist stack is what you're gonna feel right here. And then now when you pull this, you're gonna have a true 1-to-1 ratio. Well, maybe not true 1-to-1, but very close. And because the pulley is so big, it does feel pretty smooth. But like I said before, you can improve this system by getting a better pulley that I will link in the description. A quick little drawback to this hack, whenever you do the 1-to-1 ratio conversion, your pulley is not gonna end right here anymore. Your pulley won't extend out right here when you pull it. So you kind of lose the width of the tornado arm function, because now when you pull it, it's gonna go at the halfway point versus out here. Now, when you're done lifting super heavy weight and you want to take down the 1-to-1 conversion, it's very easy. Just remove your attachment, take out your pulley, remove this, and then we're going to remove this cable from here. We're going to take this carabiner, put it up to our magnet. Now, I know you're thinking, I'm not going to pull out a ratchet and a wrench just to connect this cable back in right here. I have a better solution. We're not going to be using these anymore. Instead, we're going to use these clevis pin. This clevis pin has a bunch of holes so that you can just put this in and then use a safety pin on the back. And now it's in there. It's not 100% tight, but I feel like it does a good enough job. And so this makes it easy for you to switch back and forth whenever you want to. Make sure you tape or glue this down so that it doesn't come off. And then boom, there you go. Extend it. Unextended. Now, you guys in the comment section, I'm not sure the weight capacity of this pin, so please do not try this at home. So please consult with a professional before you try this modification. Now, with this modification, in conjunction with using gym pins to load 200 pounds on each side, you are now able to achieve 800 total pounds when you connect both cables together. Some of the lifts that can benefit from having so much weight is if you plan on hooking up like a belt squat to this setup, you can have much more weight so you can overload your squat. Also, you want to like deadlift with the cables and not have to load any weight. You can easily do an 800-pound deadlift pull with this system. Now, this is just a prototype. I might have to tweak a couple of things to make sure everything is safe and strong. So please, before you try this at that weight capacity, you might have to get foot extensions. So there's a lot of variables that come into it that can make it unsafe. So please consult with a professional before you try this. I'm not an engineer, and so this is all just for entertainment and educational purposes only. Thank you. While we're at it, I want to talk about this upright. The front upright is a chrome. This is not a stainless steel. Now, this is extremely smooth. I find it really smooth to help the tornado arm move up and down. But with chrome plating, the drawback is if you scratch it and scuff it, you open yourself up to chipping. Now, I did have a pretty deep scratch right there, but so far it hasn't produced any chipping other than at that scratch spot. So it's holding up very, very well. And now for the grand finale, let's talk about the tornado arms on the RX3. Now, these tornado arm is what I believe to be one of the biggest innovation and the biggest game changer that's came to the home gym industry. A lot of company has been following suit and been making their own kind of tornado arms. I'm not sure how they were able to circumvent the patent that RX3 has on these. Who knows? GetRx might be licensing this out to other companies so that they can do it as well. I'm not too sure. I'm not a patent attorney, so I can't really speak on that. But this is definitely a new trailblazer. These tornado arms allows you to be able to move this pulley point in a lot of versatile spots. So you can swivel it in and out, bringing it in closer to the rack or wider. And then also you can swivel it up and down. And so when you have this set all the way up top, you can actually have the pulley set higher than your rack. Now you have a much higher range for your lat pull downs. Now this is gonna really help all those basement gremlin dwellers who have low ceilings. This might be a remedy for you to get that full range of motion for your lat pull downs. Now, when you have the tornado arm spread it outwards to the max position, you get about 81 inches of wingspan. That's very significant because if you get a standalone functional trainer, for instance, the Rep Arcadia Max, their biggest functional trainer, that one only has a 75-inch wingspan. Therefore, this has a wider wingspan than that standalone functional trainer. And for me, I like everything wide. I like my women wide, I like my car wide, I like my sandwiches wide, and I also like my number 2 wide. Hold on, wait, what? But what I'm trying to say is I like my functional trainer to be as wide as possible, and so that is a big selling point for me. Having the ability to be able to have the functional trainer out this wide opens up a lot of variations and versatility in your exercises. Now you can do like wide chest press, you can do wide lat pull down and just like really hit things that you couldn't really hit before. I mean, the possibilities of these are just so good. So for all the people that's looking into getting a standalone functional trainer, I advise you not to. If you really want a standalone functional trainer, just get you one of these RX3 racks, maybe the skinnier version so that you can save space. But for me, I just feel like the standalone functional trainer market is just completely dead. Why would you want a standalone functional trainer that all it can do is functional trainers type stuff when you can get a whole rack with 3x3 uprights that you can use a wide variety of attachment for, you can use as a power rack. I mean, the versatility of this, it just outweighs the convenience of a standalone Smith machine. Not only that, it can go as wide as possible, but it can also go narrow. Now the advantages of this is now you can do low row on the front of your rack and you can do your low rows at any height you want. So this beats out the Aries 2.0 in that perspective. Ever since I got these tornado arms, I barely use the functional trainer on my Aries 2.0. Even all of the good advantage and versatility that these arms provide, it is not 100% perfect yet. There are some flaws to it. The first thing is this trolley doesn't have rollers back here. It's just metal on metal sandwich in between a plastic liner. Now, a lot of people found that these were hard to move up and down, but for me, I didn't find that really to be an issue. First thing that you need to do is make sure you remove the plastic liner that's on the UHMW when you first buy it. I'm talking about this little clear plastic thing. Make sure you remove that from the inside of this. And then what I did was I took some WD-40 silicone lubricant and I just sprayed the inside of it just to give it some lubrication so that you can move it a little bit more freely. And then when you go and move it up and down, instead of holding this, there's a little technique that you have to incorporate to move it up and down easily. What I do is I find you just have to use 2 hands, put one hand underneath here, and then you can move it up and down pretty easily. And if you find it too heavy, what you can do is you can just sit here and just practice. You know, just rep out and get a little stronger, and this won't be an issue for you anymore. Or you can do what I did in my other videos, hook up a winch to it, and whenever you want to move it up and down, just use your winch, but that's a little overkill even for me. I know there's somebody out there that's been making 3D printed rollers for this so that you can just take off this metal plate back here and then put the 3D rollers in here, and that will make it smoother. But my experience with 3D printed plastic is that under heavy loads and stress, it ends up cracking over time, and I just don't really feel that that's the solution. GetRx did say that they will be revising this and sending out rollers for early adopters, so I think that's a big plus for GetRx, and appreciate them listening to their customers and improving their product. Another thing about these tornado arms that I don't like is that it has a wobble. See the wobble? So the pull pin here that holds this has a little bit of tolerance so that it does wobble, and also the trolley itself has a little bit of gap, so that kind of wobbles too. But in practicality, when I'm doing presses and when I'm using it, I don't really feel any wobble, and I don't really feel that it hinders me at all. And so for me, that is just completely negligible. But they definitely can improve it, give it a better fit and finish, put rollers on it, make it smoother. So there is places to improve this. Another complaint that I have for these tornado arms is, even though it's one of the longest tornado arms on the market, I still feel like they could have just made it a little bit longer. I mean, they've already made it this long. What's another couple inches just to bring it closer together so you wouldn't even need a banana clip to attach these two carabiners together. So in the future, GetRX, just make this a little bit longer and I think you'll help out. And it doesn't really have to be any longer than that. As long as it's closer to here, I think that will be set for life basically. Because right now, when you spread them apart, I believe they're sufficiently wide enough that you basically have full range of motion and you get that good stretch in the chest when you're doing flies. I just love how wide this is now compared to my Aries 2.0. I mean, the width of this just takes it to a whole new level. A lot of people might be wondering, does this really make a huge difference? And let me tell you, it absolutely does. It really allows you to focus on your chest and take your shoulders out of the flies. Another thing that you can incorporate are these Forza Iron Cross handles. Now, these were recommended to me by a really great influencer on HGD, LZRJ. And when you use these in conjunction with the tornado arms, I mean, your fly game is just gonna be out of this world. It just feels so good. It feels like it's all in the chest. I don't even have to focus on my shoulders. I mean, the squeeze that I get at the end is just fantastic. Let me give you guys a quick demo. Now, when I do my flies, I just pretend like I'm a bird and I just flap. And man, it just focuses everything on your chest. It almost feels like I'm using a machine. I mean, it just takes everything out of the shoulders and just puts it all on the chest. So, guys, if you want to take your fly game to a whole new level and get rid of your bird chest, I mean, I don't know why they call it bird chest because birds have like the biggest chest to body ratio. So in other words, if someone say you have a bird chest, that means you got a really good chest. So if you want to really build a good bird chest, do these and then you're set. I'm still working on mine, so when I get a bird chest, I'll let you guys know. And just to reiterate, guys, there's a lot of good information on the home gym Discord. So if you're a home gym enthusiast and you really like home gym stuff, go ahead and join the home gym Discord. Another thing that I want to point out is these pop pins right here and right here. They can loosen up over time. You see how mine's already loosened? See that? And you might find it really hard to tighten back up, but it's very easy. What you can do is just grab you some Loctite, put a little dab on there, and then we're gonna screw this back on. But in order to screw it back on all the way, pull this out and then use your pliers, grab that, and then you can just tighten it like that. So guys, if you had your pop pin pop off, just go ahead and grab a pair of pliers, pull this out, and then tighten it like so. And make sure you do it for all your pop pins. Another thing I want to point out is that you see these two Allen bolts, make sure you tighten these real good and put some Loctite on it because mine's end up being too loose and this whole thing slipped off and I almost got hurt from it. But I went ahead and made sure I tightened all these bolts down. Just make sure you tighten everything down. Every bolt that you see, tighten it down, and that's gonna give you a much safer and better experience. If you have any rack that has the cable running down the middle of the upright, these will work with those racks. You can buy these as a standalone for about $450 and add it to your rack. If you had an Aries 2.0 though, the cables run on the side of the upright, whereas the cable runs down the middle. Whenever you hook this up to an Aries 2.0, the cable is gonna run a little crooked. I will show you guys how that looks in just a second. Now, if you notice right here, I have frog clips on the end of my functional trainer cable as well. This is so that I can attach attachments really easily and quickly. I got the small version because it has this swivel. There are two versions that you can buy, the small version and the big version. The small version has a drawback that you can't connect big carabiners to it. But the big one has no problem to connect it, you see? But the thing is, the big one, it doesn't have the swivel. And so what you can do to get a big attachment to fit on this is you can put little D shackles onto all your attachment, and then you can attach it to your small frog clips very easily. This was also a hack that was brought to me over at Home Gym Discord by Rex Gunderson. So there's a lot of gems over at HGD. If you guys are not part of it, you guys need to go ahead and join HGD and join in on all of this fun. Now, in order to connect these two cables together so you can pull them at one time, you're gonna need a banana clip like this. GetRX sells their own version, which is like $45. If you want theirs, make sure you order it with your rack. They're sold separately because if you forget and you order it in the future, you're gonna have to pay for shipping and handling on top of that $45. I already have a banana clip that I got from my Aries 2.0 that will work with this. And then just connect your attachment. And then it looks like that. When you have the tornado arms close together, they're about 10 and a half inches apart. Like I said earlier, I wish it was even closer so you don't even need to use the banana clip, but I'll take what we can get. Now, once you remove this stupid little band peg that goes on here like this, now you have a hole to put your pin whenever you're on the lowest weight setting. Also, these are only in 5-pound increments. And when this thing is on here like this, there's no way to add a 2.5 outer pound weight to the first one. So now that you take that off, you put this here, you can slap that on there just like that. And also while we're at it, this pin had magnets in here, but the way that it was designed, the more you tighten this, the more it would crack the magnet. So these pins are trash. So whenever you pull in this cable in a straight line like this, it can get caught up in these corners and start sticking. So I usually don't ever pull it in a straight line like that. I always pull it at a slight angle. If they would have went with like a double pulley system like this, it would be a lot smoother. But then if it's double pulley, it will prevent this from getting a little bit lower than these arms. So there are some pros and cons to this. All right, I hope I was able to cover every aspect of this rack.